Be wary, young ones, as you rest your heads, for soon St. Nicholas will appear by your beds. Fear not the saint, as he is good and kind. The one you should fear is not far behind. If you were a kind and humble tot, St. Nicholas will reward you with sweets from his pot. However, were you rude, loud, and crass, the Krampus will appear to beat your little ass. Then into his basket, as dark as a well, and he'll spirit you away into the depths of hell. So why did I recite a poem about the Krampus? No reason. This movie barely has anything to do with Krampus. Yeah, Merry Christmas or whatever. Let's just do this. I think this thing might be haunted. The movie opens with a little girl and grandmother talking about a picture the child drew.
You like it?
I love it. What am I looking at here?
Damn, Granny, she doesn't even ask who she's looking at. She says, what am I looking at here? And I love the glance Granny gives to the kid when she sees the drawing.
Where's your sister? Are you angry with her? Does she make you sad?
Sometimes.
God, this opening is so annoying. And it's not because it's bad, it's because it's deceiving. The movie starts off okay, and then takes the fastest nosedive I think I've ever seen in a horror movie. For the briefest of moments, I thought we had a hidden gem here. I need to stop being so optimistic about dollar store DVDs. So this book comes back later in the story, and we find out this is how the Krampus was initially summoned. Okay, why does Granny have a demon summoning book just at her disposal?
I got you.
No.
Yes, Zoe, you're it. Zoe's it. I got her.
This is Zoe. She's a piece of shit, and I hate this character. And don't you judge me about hating a kid. You are gonna hate her too by the end of the movie.
Gross. Don't touch it. Why?
You're weird. Stay away from me, Zoe.
We get it, Zoe. You're super creepy and oh so much smarter than the other kids, and this will totally make sense once that twist is revealed at the end of the movie. I love that Zoe tried that creepy little girl staring thing on the dude, but this clearly happens so often he barely registers it. This is her foster father, by the way.
Yes, Tristan, it was me. It was me all along.
You know, I'd make fun of the acting, but this is literally how I see all soap operas.
My one true love.
Remember,
With Christmas around the corner.
it's extra important to listen to your parents.
So you don't end up on the naughty list.
What is this a commercial for?
Hey! Turn it back!
She literally had headphones in with her back to the TV, and she's pissed off Zoe changed the channel. It's like when your dad fell asleep in the living room with the TV on, but the second you change the channel or turn off the TV, he wakes up and he's like, hey, I was watching that. Oh, were you really? Were you really, Dad? Where? Through your eyelids?
My love for you is strong like a tiger.
Oh my god, they're that couple. This is the couple that are all over each other one week, and then in the next get into a messy public fight that leads to a breakup, and then they get back together like nothing ever happened. Then they get married and have like a bunch of kids, and then 10 years down the line, you see a post on Facebook, the most appropriate place to air out your grievances, that he's been cheating on her since high school with a mutual friend.
My love for you flows like a river, like the mighty Amazon, like the ancient Nile of Egypt.
Zoe goes to her room to retrieve the cutest little Krampus doll! Oh, look how cute it is! Aww.
Laundry needs folding. Now! Move it!
Relax. The laundry's not gonna get up and run away if it's not folded immediately. It's fine. It's fine.
Now! Move it!
You know, I would feel pity about how Zoe's being treated in this house, but it's Zoe, so That night, Methany and the pizza guy get down and dirty listening to generic R&B, complete with a lovely pairing of cocaine and white wine. You know, the classy shit. Ugh, Zoe, look, I get you're a serial killer or whatever, but I think witnessing this might swing the dial a little too far in the opposite direction, and you're gonna overcorrect yourself into a nunnery.
What the hell?
Bed now!
Gross. Anyway, Zoe is locked in her room, and Methany goes back to her room to get herself a taste of Ron Jeremy's cousin's friend. I was not expecting to see tits in this movie. Like, can you imagine, as an actress, being convinced to go full frontal and having a roll in the hay with an equally naked actor who's also kind of flaccid, only for this movie to exclusively be in dollar store bargain bins, which is where I found it, along with these guys. You again! Zoe, being justifiably pissed off she has to listen to Methany act like she's on the Skinamax channel, removes the chains from the adorable Krampus doll, which releases him, and Krampus promptly kills Muffin Top.
Teddy?
Oh, that's his name. Glad I know what to call the pile of barbecue ribs currently sitting on the patio now. Oh, that is unfortunate. Look, I know it's very low budget and it's from 2015, but I got nothing outside of that is not Krampus. That is a demon from the video game Doom. By the way, this movie was released the same year as the Adam Scott Krampus movie, but I'm sure that's just a coincidence. Not gonna lie, when watching this scene, I was more interested in the mid-century house styles in the neighborhood rather than what was going on. I just love that style of house. It's got personality, and I'm just trying to put off talking about this movie more. What are we looking at? What are we looking at? Are we confused by the front wall that has several shades of brown paint? Is it the very out-of-place bento box detached garage? Or is it the realization that there's no way anyone in this neighborhood did not hear those two screaming, but chose not to do anything since that house and its inhabitants were bringing down the property value and figured it would work itself out in payroll? The officers find Zoe behind a locked door and take her to be checked out by the EMTs before just leaving her there, unattended. I know, she's a disturbed youth that uses a little demon doll to kill people, but the cops don't know that. Can we tempt you with dessert? Later in the day, Zoe is checked into the children's hospital where we meet our main character.
Dr. Rachel Stewart, I called from the road. I'm here for the Zoe Weaver interview.
Sign here.
Why is that pen making a pencil writing sound movie? We can see her writing. I guess the Foley guy just didn't have anything to do for a while in this movie. While writing her name for 10 minutes, she's approached by two detectives, Miles and James, and the head of pediatrics, Dr. Jennings. This movie is filled with actors I swear I had seen in other movies. Every time I thought I recognized one of these actors, I would look up their IMDb and nope. I have never seen a movie filled with actors with recognizable faces that you have never seen before. The four make their way to the observation room where I guess anyone can come and gawk at injured children on their lunch break.
Zoe, this is Dr. Stewart.
Rachel.
Dr. Stewart would like to ask you a few questions, okay?
Zoe does that creepy child thing again and speaks vaguely about the Krampus and how he only comes for bad ones.
They were bad, and now they're gone. He took them. He took them because they were bad.
Remember that, because the movie pretends she doesn't say this like 8 times in the movie at the very end. It's always great when movies set up rules and then break these self-imposed rules just because the writer wrote himself into a corner.
Do you need anything?
My doll's in my sewing kit. I asked if I could bring them, but they said no.
Rachel asks Miles if they can retrieve Zoe's sewing kit from under her bed, and while doing so, we find out through Miles the foster parents would always take in kids and use the money they received monthly for the children's care on themselves while the children would be dressed in rags. You know, foster kids usually have a social or caseworker that make both scheduled and random no-notice visits from time to make sure the kids are taken care of, on top of court dates where a judge both sees and talks to them in their chambers. Nobody ever saw these blaring red flags? I don't know why I keep trying to bring realism into this stupid movie, because we're about to find out something that's gonna make this whole foster parent plot make no fucking sense.
Do you think Santa will remember to come here for us? There's no chimney in the hospital.
Oh, that's just not true.
Chimney? Oh no.
Remember yesterday when I took you out for a walk? Remember that huge smokestack?
No, don't do it.
That's our chimney. And that is how Santa's gonna come and bring you all a bunch of presents.
Oh my god, he really did it. He really told these kids that a cremation smokestack is how Santa is going to get in the hospital. and bring them toys. I sure hope somebody warns Santa what that chimney is used for before he goes down it and reenacts that one War of the Worlds scene. Ho ho, 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 ho. It's a fucking stupid joke.
That's not a chimney. It's a smokestack. The smoke that comes out is from the bodies of the people that they burn after they die here.
If this movie actually followed the Krampus mythos, her little ass would be the first crammed into his smelly bag. Take a wild guess about what evil thing he's been doing, because I guessed it immediately and I bet you did too.
Why are you staring at that nice man?
You brought my things?
I did. Hey, sweetie. Yes, I'll be home soon. I can totally pick up a pizza. Love you too. Bye.
Well, I'm glad that Rachel interrupted this therapy session with one of her clients to answer a personal phone call about this very important topic. Then again, you're supposed to have these type of sessions in a private room, not out in a common area, so sure, answer your cell phone. Why don't you file your nails while you're at it?
Who was that?
That was my son. His daddy actually passed away. His mommy did too.
You're his foster mother. Foster mothers are mean.
You are 31, Zoe. I'm sorry. I did not mean to blow part of the twist this early, but I have to let this one slip because the things that she says and does in this movie is ridiculous when you find out that she was born in 1984 and in the movie it is 2015.
Were she and Mr. Holzer mean to you?
And selfish. So Krampus said they needed to be punished.
Oh, so being mean warrants a creature from German mythos to come and burn you, Zoe. Is that what you're saying? Being an asshole warrants immolation, Zoe? Is that what you're saying, Zoe? I don't know why I'm miming smoking a cigarette.
Lamar, dinner's here. Hey. Christ, you scared me.
That last scene was Lamar calling Rachel to ask her to bring home a pizza. Like, he couldn't wait an hour? Just have a bowl of cereal or something. That kid is definitely old enough to know not to use the stove when he's home alone, and what the hell was he doing down there?
Look at this. It's a disaster.
A slightly askewed pizza. Oh, heavens to Betsy, we can't allow this abomination to touch our lips when it didn't touch the floor and stayed in the box when she dropped it. Ugh. Miles calls to inform Rachel that the dead foster parents were ID'd as the foster parents. Well, that's one mystery solved, I guess.
Did you get anything from the girl yet?
Yeah, even for a kid who's been through a lot, there's something really weird about her.
Are you sure you're a child psychologist? I mean, a child who went through a traumatic event, having angry outbursts and lashing out and having coping items such as her Krampus doll or sewing kit. It all seems kind of standard to me. I guess you would find her strange, considering you failed to create a base level of trust. So weird. All I did was act like I don't care about her and actively showed that by answering personal calls during what's supposed to be a therapy session and badgered her about a traumatic experience she clearly didn't want to talk about and got visibly upset every time I brought it up. Clearly something is off with her. That same night, we get the privilege of watching Screech Powers immediately go to his computer to download exactly what you think he's downloading before hearing a knock at his front door.
Hi! We're just letting folks know we're putting together a canned food drive this year to help someone lower it.
I can't help you.
What if you just
Fuck off!
I was really hoping they'd knock again and it was Krampus in disguise. He's like, really? Not even expired cans you forgot you had, huh? Wait, that's a placement agreement for fostering that has a case number on it. Put a pin in this, cause it's real dumb. It's real dumb. While this is going on, Krampus roasts the child predator to a bubbly goo. I bet those canned food ladies were real smug about this. They're like, well, that's what he gets for not helping out the needy on Christmas. Detective Miles shows up at Rachel's place completely sloshed, and since she doesn't want him driving, anymore, she invites him in. So I'm not sure, but I think there's something off about the dialogue in this scene. How maybe you guys can pick it out.
Elizabeth kicked me out.
You can crash on the couch tonight.
You are the best.
I'm guessing something happened with her lapel mic where they had to loop the dialogue, but if that's the case, you probably should have looped his dialogue too, because it is real obvious when it's just her.
Just a second, we're attacking the warlocks in full force.
Oh yeah, he's totally playing a game there. I'm too lazy to get up and go get a controller.
What happened to you, Dolores?
What the hell is she talking about? Has this child psychologist never heard of fostering disruptions based on incompatibility? It's not that rare. That night, Rachel has a dream about two Dickensian girls finding Grandma's book. Yeah, it's kind of obvious that one of the girls is Zoe, but can you guess who the other girl is? It's a super twisty twist. You never guess.
Rachel?
Morning. You like it black, right?
Yeah.
Nothing like black coffee when you have a massive hangover. It's just, just vile. Why don't you give them warm hot dog water while you're at it? I mean, they're both going to end up thrown up on your carpet. Rachel calls CPS to talk to a caseworker to get more information on Zoe using her full name, date of birth, and case number.
Nothing's coming up.
This is crazy. I'm gonna send you the link right now. Hang on. Now the page isn't loading.
Remember when I told you to put a pin in that placement paperwork? Well, those are signed by multiple people, including a caseworker and the foster parents. Foster parents get a monthly check that's supposed to be used to pay for the child's basic needs, so a bank would be involved. Every time a child moves to any location, it's documented. If Zoe was removed from one placement, it would be documented either through the courts or the department. Now, I am not saying that kids have never gotten lost in the system, because unfortunately, they totally have. But we're supposed to believe Krampus orchestrated a website, paperwork, a bank account, and court documents, all on the off chance Zoe would be placed with people worthy of death for being kind of assholes. Then the case would have to be assigned to Detective Miles, who would then call in a favor to his longtime friend, Rachel, to interview Zoe. Krampus and Zoe know who Rachel is. Like, wouldn't it just be easier to go to her house? Was this convoluted plan the best Krampus could come up with? I mean, I guess it would make more sense if they didn't know Rachel's name or face, but they do. I guess you can just hand wave all that away and say it's evil Krampus magic, but that's, God, that's, ugh.
The only Zoe Weaver that comes back is from a case in 1992.
The plot thickens. Doesn't get more interesting, but it thickens.
Hello?
I'm sorry, what? The chain link gate was locked. She softly called out and apparently hopped the gate, and instead of knocking on the front door, she walks around the back? Oh my god, she is so stupid. And she is damn lucky they didn't have an angry junkyard dog, or hell, get a few extra bullets in her, because remember, this is taking place in the US, and a lot of US states have something called castle doctrine laws, and Arizona is one of them. Whoop, there it is. Rachel tells Cletus here she wants to ask Dolores about Zoe, so he brings her inside and drops a stupid bomb on her.
When was this taken?
Before Daddy died, so would have had to be 91 or 92.
That was more than 20 years ago.
Back at the children's hospital, Zoe sits with a little girl with burn scars on her face and proceeds to be an absolute nuisance.
Why are you staring at me? I don't stare at you even though your face is ugly.
Krampus only punishes people who are mean. You know, she may look like a child, but we just watched a 31-year-old call a little girl who's a burn victim ugly. You can't even dismiss this as kids just having no filter because she's fucking 31!
My dad. He burnt you. He made you ugly forever. He didn't mean to.
You know, beauty is subjective, and I think that burn scars are beautiful. They are a badge of strength. They went through the most unbelievable pain that hopefully you and I will never have to face, and they fucking survived. They are warriors. The only ugly person in this room is you, Zoe.
Tell me. I don't want to. Go away then.
Bitch, you approached her, not the other way around. You leave. This movie really doesn't want me to care about Zoe, does it? It's almost like it's actively trying to get me to cheer for a little girl being burned to death. A nurse takes away Zoe's yarn box as a punishment for being a little jerk-ass, and at the same time, Detective Miles finally gets a hold of Rachel.
We found another body.
Who?
Joseph Mooney, nurse, Mercy Emanuel, children's ward.
Miles meets James in front of the hospital to drill on the fact that Kentucky Fried Pedo was a bad person by informing Miles they found exactly what you think they did on the dude's computer.
Turns out Mooney had the largest collection of kids these guys had ever come across.
I don't know a whole lot about the pecking order of U.S. law enforcement, but I am 100% sure if local law enforcement came across a huge black market of child abuse imagery, the FBI would 100% get involved. And to the movie's credit, they do mention that the feds are gonna get involved, but then it's never brought up ever again, so... because why would it? Rachel shows up, and the three return to the pediatric ward to hopefully get something out of Zoe this time. But Zoe is distracted by the fact that she's technically 31, but still draws like a 9-year-old. Or her yarn box was taken, or whatever. I don't care.
Do you have any yarn?
No, I'm sorry, I don't.
It has to be a dolly or it's not gonna work. Bring me some yarn and I'll tell you what you want to know.
They briefly talk about Zoe's previous foster mom, Dolores, before Zoe turns into a feral child and slices Rachel's cheek with her fingernails.
You know, a lot of children have imaginary friends. And that's okay.
You don't need to be afraid. Krampus knows you're not one of the bad people.
You know, this movie is an hour and a half long, and we are at the 58-minute mark, and it feels like nothing has happened. Like, the characters aren't compelling or interesting enough to keep my attention, and the main antagonist is just a brat.
See that?
You're saying our little Zoe is actually a woman in her 30s with an imaginary friend who kills people by burning them alive.
Well, now it just sounds stupid when I say it out loud.
It's not just that.
No what?
I can't shake this feeling that I've met her before.
Well, that's news to us. This character has made no indication that she has felt this way until now. At the hospital, Zoe approaches the little burn girl and hands her a doll woven from a blanket. I guess Zoe can just hand blank dolls to anyone linked to a bad person now? That seems kind of like cheating, Zoe.
Man, you got a tight little package there.
I know he's referring to Rachel, but I have never heard the term package to describe anything other than a guy's junk. So, for the briefest of seconds, I thought he was hitting on Miles.
What's your name, friend?
I'm not your friend, buddy! He's not your buddy, guy! I'm not your guy, buddy!
Clay.
Last name.
Fuck off. That's my name.
Oh yes, the Foucaults, a very proud lineage from the south of France. This is the little burn girl's father, by the way.
A drunk bum who fell asleep with a lit cigarette and burned his house down. Your daughter was lucky to barely escape with her life.
I am really confused as to why this father was not criminally charged for neglect that resulted in major bodily harm. Like, why is this man not in prison right now?
You got a mouth on you, mister.
Fellas, please.
Don't make me raise my dubbed voice at you. Rachel and Miles leave the bar and head back to Rachel's house where... What? Where did Rachel get this painting of a chicken? I want that painting. I love it. Oh, and Rachel kisses Miles and then throws up, and Krampus shows up to burn the drunk dad while he's kind of just hanging out. Do you see what I mean when I say that nothing seems to have happened in this movie, even when it does?
You never told me how you got this.
It's nothing I can remember. Not clearly, anyway. I've had it since I was really young.
It's never really explained why Rachel has no memory of her childhood outside of her mentioning her birth parents died in a fire.
No reports, no records. Nothing I've been able to find anyway.
That's...
No, Miles, don't second guess it. It's dumb. It's so dumb, guys. You're telling me a family of four's house burned down, killing the parents and one child, leaving another alive, and there's nothing? No news report, no CPS record, no police investigation? Really? So Krampus destroyed all that too, huh? Why wouldn't Krampus want Rachel to remember what she did? It's just so dumb.
Hi, Mom. I thought you were staying at Jason's.
His Wi-Fi down.
Baby. You know, I shouldn't be making fun of the way he's talking. You can kind of tell by his speech that those braces are relatively new. I myself developed a lisp when I first got the braces on, and I kept it until I got used to them. Oh god, that brings back memories.
It's time, Rachel.
That night, after Miles leaves, Rachel has a nightmare about her and Zoe reading Grandma's spell book. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, it was kind of obvious who the two girls were, but if you're expecting me to explain why Granny had a spell book that would summon Krampus, I got nothing. It actually just looks like a storybook, so it's kind of weird that it has a summoning spell in it. Rachel's dream devolves into her having sex with Miles, Miles comically thrusting nowhere near her target. Then Miles turns into the Krampus and rips out her heart. Oh, so this elaborate scheme was just so Krampus could bang Rachel. You know, there are easier ways to do that, Krampus. You could have probably just wooed her with your magic. Or just combust somebody right in front of her.
So remember, if women don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy.
What? I gotta do something to stay awake. I've never seen a movie that is so disinterested in keeping their audience's attention. I mean, I gotta keep yours. Sure, why wouldn't this movie have a character sit straight up in bed screaming? It's my favorite horror trope. And I love that it just keeps being used and just won't die. Oh, come on. Krampus could have been that bad in bed. You know, if you don't want him, I'm pretty sure there's some weirdo on the internet that would gladly take him. Rachel takes, I'm guessing, some psych meds, which make her sick in the toilet. Then she has herself a good old shower floor cry before returning to her bedroom. Ugh. No, you cannot convince me that she did not feel that much liquid on her ass before she pulled the sheets back. There's so much blood, you can see where her ass trailed off when she got back out of bed.
There's someone in here!
I feel like there's a missing scene here. Like maybe Lamar woke up to find Zoe in his room already, or maybe she possessed him to open a window to let her in, and he only came out of the trance when he heard Rachel, because this is very confusing and disjointed. Like, what was going on here?
Who was that? Zoe! Who is Zoe? Just, Lamar, I really need to concentrate. I need you to be quiet.
Lamar!
Gotta get to the police. Police?
Yes, please go to the police. I would love to see her try to explain why she's there. Please. Zoe pulls in Alyssa and dumbass Rachel swerves to avoid Zoe rather than just slamming into her, and she wrecks the car, leaving her and Lamar in bad shape. Krampus only hurts people who are bad. Alright, well, what did Lamar do? Get a little too edgy on the Xbox Live chat?
And he punishes all the wicked little boys and girls with the fire.
What are you doing?
Go back to bed.
God, it has been established multiple times that Krampus only kills bad people. So if Rachel summoned Krampus, that would mean that Zoe and their parents were bad, right? Or is this movie implying that Rachel set up these little dolls and everything and then just lit the house on fire instead? Like, why would she bother going through the trouble? Rachel wakes up to see her scar has become a fresh, bloody burn before immediately forgetting about it and wanders through an empty hospital. Then it's revealed she's in a stable coma while Lamar is in the operating room suffering from a broken neck and whatever's going on with his shoulder there.
He's gonna die, Rachel.
Because remember, Krampus only kills bad people.
And it's all your fault.
What? I'm pretty sure it's your fault, Zoe. I mean, you're the one who walked out in the middle of the road in front of a car, but you haven't taken responsibility for any of your shitty actions in this movie, so why start now?
You killed us. Mommy, Daddy, and me. Don't you remember the fire? You can't remember the Krampus? Can you not even remember you had a sister?
I'm still not 100% sure what happened. I mean, I guess it makes sense that she would burn the house down and kill her family, but it's still stupidly vague. The reveals are not supposed to be vague. This movie sets up questions, and when it answers that one question, it just brings up 1,000 more. If Rachel just burned the house down, why bother making dolls of her family? And if she did summon Krampus, why did he kill the family if they weren't bad? And how is Zoe here right now? Is she a creation of Krampus, or maybe she was resurrected by him somehow? And if that's the case, why does he need anyone to summon him if he found this loophole of just creating someone who could do his bidding? Why does Krampus care so much about this one incident that he spent decades building an elaborate plan involving foster care, the internet, at least one bank, and the court system, all to trap Rachel, a woman he could have tracked down and eliminated back when she was a child? See, this is more revenge than punishment at this point. It would be like sentencing a person with dementia to death for a murder they committed before the disease took their brain. I mean, yeah, you have the person, but the person is just, it's gone. The person's not there. Rachel has no memory of what happened, and she still doesn't regain it. Like, the movie doesn't show her regaining, like, aha moment. So this punishment is just, it's hollow. He's so stupid looking. He looks like Gary Busey. Hi girl, it's me, Krampus.
Doc. He's coming back.
What was your first hint, Doc? A code blue is called and a goofy running nurse discovers what's left of Rachel. Who called in the code blue to begin with? You know, I'm no doctor, but I think she might be past the point of resuscitation. Sometime later, Lamar is in recovery being watched by Miles and Dr. Jennings.
And the Weaver kid? No sign of her. Not here. There's no record of her anymore.
Oh my god, they're really going to do it. They are really going to hand wave away all of the documents and records of Zoe, as if that's not completely ridiculous. They could have avoided all of this if they just had Zoe found on the side of the road and taken into CPS custody. Boy, did this movie not need to be made. God, it's such a shame, too, because one of my favorite story elements is small child befriends a malevolent creature. Some of the acting was also not entirely bad, but the dub dialogue was really distracting during scenes that were supposed to be serious, and the whole movie felt like it was standing around trying to figure out what to do. Hell, the best part of this movie was the burn makeup because it looked pretty damn real in some scenes. I just wish they used practical effects on the Krampus, because low-budget horror and CGI never looks convincing or good. And I hope you and yours have a wonderful holiday season. Here's to another year of terrible horror movies, terribly wonderful horror games, chill streams where I poorly play games, animatronic and unintentionally terrifying kid shows and movies. And I hope you tag along into this march into hell that is 2024. And I'll be happy for the company. Cheers.
Doc. He's coming back.